let's pretend that we don't know anything about meditation, which maybe that's true for you. You're brand new. And you're like, what is meditation? That would be the first question I would imagine somebody would ask if you didn't know about it, right? So when we think about meditation, we think about person sitting down, like maybe something like this, eyes closed, looking real relaxed, on like a uncomfortable floor, something like that, right? So this is our image of meditation. Right? If you Google image search meditation, this is what comes up. And this is a form of meditation, but it is not the only one. The definition of meditation is not just sitting down with your eyes closed, focusing on your breath, right? Meditation is a technique that you use to train your mind to become familiar with something that you want to become familiar with. Now, the phrase familiarizing our mind, it's like we don't use that. It's not a normal phrase that we use day to day. But this concept of familiarity is really important in our lives. And we can see that by thinking about some things that we're familiar with. So let's think about a physical thing that we're really familiar with, like walking, right? You don't have to really think about walking anymore, right? You're pretty good at it. You've been doing it for quite some time. Maybe we're getting a little older. Our knees are hurting as we're doing it, but the mechanics of walking, right? We don't have to think about it too much. We can do all sorts of things while we're walking. We're talking on the phone. I don't know what else you're doing while you're walking. People do countless things while they're walking, right? So at this point in your life, walking, both physical, mental, everything required to do that motion, that activity, it's so familiar to you that it comes pretty naturally. If I were to say, can you walk down there? You would just do it. You don't have to think about it. But if you recall back to when you were a little kid, or maybe you have a daughter or son or niece or nephew or whatnot, and they're learning how to walk, it's not that easy, right? Kind of standing up and then they fall down and get a couple steps in and then they fall down, and even when they actually get the walking thing going, it's not a very graceful stride as we have here. So what has happened in between walking being really difficult and walking coming like second nature to you, right? Just practice, familiarity. This concept of your mind, body, whatever, being familiar with something, it has a superpower. And that superpower is the more familiar you are with thing, the less effort you have to put into doing it, right? The less mental calculation you need to make for walking, for example, right? And the same is true for all things that we've learned, whether it's walking, riding a bike, tying your shoe, or mental states, which is kind of what we focus on with meditation. A lot of times people get into meditation to relax, but meditation itself is not kind of pulling relaxation from the ether or something like that. What's happening is meditation is teaching you to become so familiar with relaxed you, that lovely version of you that's in there and is calm, cool, collected, and we wish it would just stay and stick around, but it's fleeting. Meditation teaches you to become familiar with that version of yourself, so familiar with that version of yourself that it starts to show up with less effort, right? Right now, it takes a lot of effort for us to be patient, for example, right? If you think about getting frustrated, well, it doesn't really take a lot of effort. We get frustrated very easily, right? Somebody says something to us that we don't like, boom, we're frustrated, we're annoyed or whatever. We don't have to pause and stop to think about it. It just happens, right? Our mind has just had a lot of practice getting frustrated, getting annoyed. It's very familiar with that emotion. But being patient, that mind state, the mind state of patience, especially in situations that can be frustrating, we're not as familiar with that. We haven't practiced it as much, and so it takes more effort, right? We have to pause. Hey, I need a second to take a step back, assess the situation, right? Talk about this tomorrow, whatever we do, right? So this is an example of how impactful familiarity is in everything that we do, which is why meditation is such a cool practice, because regardless of why you're here, whether it's to be less stressed or to help with anxiety or to help with a positive self-image or whatever the gambit of what you might be here for, meditation is a great tool in your self-care toolbox to help with it, right? So what we're going to do with our first little meditation here is we're going to practice this. We're going to practice this technique of training our mind to become familiar with something. Essentially, training our mind to focus on what we want to focus on. Because right now, your mind focuses on what it wants to focus on, right? We're watching a show, and then all of a sudden we have, oh no, yeah, that project at work tomorrow that I'm very nervous about, and our mind's thinking about that. I don't know why it started thinking about that. We're just watching the show. Everything was great. We're thinking about this project at work, but our mind doesn't care. Our mind just does what it wants to do because that's what we've kind of let it do. It's doing what it's familiar with. So we need to retrain our mind. And we're going to start with training our mind in something called single-pointed concentration, which is a very fancy way of saying you're going to focus on one thing. We're not multitasking. We're very good multitaskers. If you think about how familiar we are with multitasking, it's incredible, right? Even you might be like, I'm not good at multitasking, right? Some are like, I'm not. I can't think about all those things, But we do multitasking all day long, right? I just did it right now. I was talking to you, and then I had this thought, I'm thirsty. So I picked up my drink, and I drank it while maintaining what I was going to think of next. This is multitasking, right? So when we're learning meditation, we're going to intentionally not multitask. We are going to focus so single-pointedly, so exclusively on one thing that all the other things that are going around in our mind, vying for our attention, they'll fade into the background a little bit. It's a pretty similar experience to being in the zone or flow state, whatever. If you're working on something really diligently at work, say, you lose track of time, you forget to eat, you don't hear any of the noises in your house or office, right? It's as if they've faded away. They're still there. They haven't faded away, but it's as if they have, just based on you being very concentrated single-pointedly on something. So we're going to start to train to do this intentionally, because right now it happens sometimes, but not on our command, right? Okay, so what we're going to do is breathing meditation. Now, breathing meditation is a great entry point into meditation. If you only did breathing meditation for the rest of your life, you would see wild benefits. It's incredible and relaxing and lovely, and it is very commonly taught. And what's going on with breathing meditation is we are meditating using our breath as our focal point, our single-pointed concentration focal point. You'll see later in this class, we're going to talk about other things that we can focus on single-pointedly to meditate. But for starters, it's good to use our breath because your breath is always with you. So if you can become pretty adept at using your breath as a way to connect with relaxed you, man, you can start to do that anywhere, right? which is a pretty empowering feeling that you can use this wherever and whenever you need to. Cool? Okay. So we're going to do a little breathing meditation now. Instructionally, very straightforward. And I'm going to say this a bunch of times today, but the only thing that is required for something to be considered meditation is it has to have 3 key components. Right? Component number 1, we're going to intentionally choose to focus on it single pointedly. Right? So we're going to say to ourselves, you don't need to say out loud, like, I'm going to focus on my breath. And that's it. Right? We're making a choice to focus on our breath. And then component 2, we're paying attention to whenever we're no longer focusing on our breath single pointedly. We're thinking about work. We are thinking about something that happened today. We're whatever. Our mind does a million things. Whenever we notice that has happened, we can just acknowledge it. And then component 3, we bring our attention back to our breath. That's it. All right. So meditation, focusing single pointedly on something, noticing when your attention drifts away from that thing, bringing it back. That's it. So we're going to start by using our breath as the thing we're concentrating on. All right? So we're going to do that now. You can sit in a chair. You can sit on the floor. You can lay down. You can do whatever you want. There is no required seating arrangement in order to be able to meditate. Just make sure you're relatively comfortable. That way you aren't hyper-focused on being uncomfortable, and we can focus on our breath. All right? So get nice and comfy, and you can go ahead and close your eyes, and I'm going to guide us through about a 5-minute breathing meditation just to get everyone a little relaxed and a little settled. Okay. Whenever we start a meditation, it's always good to take a moment and check in. Ask yourself, how am I feeling right now? In this exact moment. Maybe you're happy. Maybe you're upset. Maybe you have lots of energy. Or maybe you're feeling tired. Whatever it is, it does not matter. We're not doing anything about it. We are just noticing. We are practicing noticing what our mind is up to. This is a technique called mindfulness. Mindfulness is an active, intentional awareness of your thoughts moment to moment for the purpose of being able to respond skillfully to those thoughts. So for now, we're just checking in. And having done that, you can now make a choice. You can choose to focus single-pointedly, exclusively on your breath. Breathing in, breathing out, gently, naturally. You do not need to take big, deep breaths. You do not need to forcefully exhale the air. Just breathe as you normally would, whatever way comes natural. In and out. As you begin to relax a little bit into your chair or cushion, as you are sitting there breathing in and out. At some point, you may notice your attention drifting. Maybe you're having a thought about something that happened earlier today. Maybe you're having a thought about something you have to do later, after this class has ended. Whenever these thoughts come up, we can just very gently say, "Not right now. We'll get to them later." And then guide your attention back to breathing, back to following each and every breath in and out, gently, naturally. Single-pointedly focused on each moment of each breath. See if you can follow the journey of the air as it enters your body when you breathe in, nourishing your body with life, and then following that same air as it exits back into the atmosphere, dissipating. A moment-to-moment interest in breathing in and out, gently, naturally, as you begin to relax a little bit more into your chair or cushion. Keep bringing your attention back to your breath whenever you notice it drifting. It does not matter how many times you need to do this. This process of choosing to focus single-pointedly on your breath, noticing when your attention drifts, and then being able to reel your attention back in, that is meditation. You are meditating right now. You are training your mind to be calm, to access its natural peacefulness. You are training your mind to focus on what you want to focus on. And right now, that's breathing in and out, gently, naturally. So just for the next couple of moments, enjoy sitting here breathing, that's all. Okay, when you're ready, you can open your eyes. Hello, welcome back. How'd that go? That is a very kind of straightforward breathing meditation. It has 3 components. We're choosing to focus on our breath. We're paying attention, and whenever we notice our attention has drifted a bit, doesn't matter what it's thinking about, we say, "Not right now," which I think is an important, I don't know, it's like a mantra or whatever you want to call it. That's our thing that we're doing, right? Not right now. We're not saying that those thoughts are meaningless or not important. We're saying we acknowledge that they are thoughts that we're having and they're important to us, but we will get to them later when you decide, right? So this is the training. We're essentially training our mind like it's a new pet, right? Just kind of let our pet jump on the couch, and then we're like, "Hey, don't get on the couch." And then our pet's like, "Wait, I've always gone on the couch." So that's like our mind. Our mind has always thought about a million things at once. And so when we try to say, no, you're going to focus on one thing, and that's it, our mind's like, I don't know. This is not what I've been doing. So I don't know why we're doing this. It's a process that takes some time to normalize. Right? So something that's really important when you're starting a meditation routine is consistency. And we did about maybe 5 minutes, if that. I don't know. I'm not like timing it or whatever, but it's pretty short, right? There's this common misconception about meditation that you must meditate for hours on end in a remote location or whatever. And this is not necessary at all. The number one most important thing to see benefits from meditation is to meditate consistently. It doesn't matter how long, consistent. So maybe that's 3 minutes for you before work. Cool. Maybe that's 1 minute after work. Also cool. Maybe that's 30 seconds before you go to bed. Whatever. It doesn't matter. Whatever you can commit to regularly, that is the most important thing to think about when starting meditation routine. Cool. Or if you've already been meditating for a while, maybe think about your routine. Has it been going well? Has it been too much time? Do you want to do more time? There's no right answer. As long as you're able to commit to it consistently, boom, perfect. Cool. All right. If you have any questions about breathing meditation in general, feel free to ask away. I'm going to move on to our topic today because there's a lot going on with it, and it's probably one of my most favorite ones to teach. And somebody last week asked a question that was like directly related to this, and that's why I was like, oh, we'll do this next week. And I can't remember exactly what the question was, but it was asking about other ways to meditate. Maybe if you're struggling with breathing meditation, or you don't have a lot of time, you're really busy, right? I don't have any time to meditate, Keith. Sorry, I got a lot going on. So this topic is all about finding ways to get creative, right? Get to have a little fun with thinking about how we can incorporate meditation into our lives. And I said this earlier, and I said that I will say it again, and here I am saying it again. The only thing that is required for something to be considered meditation, actively, intentionally choosing to focus on something single-pointedly, noticing when you're no longer doing that, no longer focusing on it, and then bringing your attention back, right? We're training our mind to focus on what we want to focus on. So we just did that with our breath, but there are infinite things that we can meditate on. It's called the object of your meditation. The object of our meditation was our breath, but the object of our meditation can be anything, right? So time management can help. Yes. So really, really good point. And I think this class is really good to help with time management because we're busy. We're all busy. Now, some people are really busy and have no time. Others have some time, but it doesn't matter because we're all busy. We got a lot going on. And we might struggle to add something into our routine. even something as short as a 2-minute breathing meditation can feel very daunting when our schedule is packed. Will we cover walking meditation? We will, Julie. Great. So we're going to look at a bunch of different things that we can do to complement or instead of traditional breathing meditation that are just as good. It's not like breathing meditation is the best, but here are some other things that kind of work. No, it doesn't matter what your object of meditation is. It just matters that practice of choosing to focus on it, noticing when you're not, bringing your attention back. All right. So I'm going to go through a lot of examples. This is not all of them. All right. And I want you to keep in mind something very important. When we're talking about these things and you're thinking about what you might want to try out in terms of an activity or thing to turn it into a meditation practice, I want you to choose something that you're already doing, right? So if I talk about walking meditation, if you don't walk, then I don't want you to do this, because the important part here is we're not adding to your busy schedule. Your schedule is your schedule, and we're going to be creative and fun about finding how we can fit meditation in. All right? Okay. So, Julie, right on cue, the first thing we're going to talk about is movement. All right? Now, I bet you there's a good amount of people in here who practice yoga or have tried it or, like it, wish they could do it more, whatever. Yoga is become very popular, and it is a great example of what we're talking about here, because what is the ask of you when you're at a yoga class? They are not, I'll tell you what they aren't doing, right? They're not saying, hey, do these moves, but then think about like work and stuff. Think about that thing that somebody said to you that really annoyed you. Right? No, they're like, we're going to focus single pointedly on these movements, right? How our body feels as we're entering and exiting these different body positions, right? We are going to single pointedly focus on the movement of our body, right? And then if we ever get distracted, we're going to be like, oh, and then we bring our attention back to these movements. What does that sound like? Right? It sounds like what we just did, except that we were using our breath instead of yoga moves, right? So yoga is a meditation using movement as the object of your meditation. Right? Julie asked if we'll cover walking meditation, right? So this is another type of movement-based meditation. Maybe you don't do yoga. I have broken my right wrist many times for whatever reason, and I have trouble doing some of the moves in yoga, but I can still do movement-based meditation. Let's say, drive our car, boop, boop, boop. We're going to the grocery store, we park, got a great pull-through spot, everything's great, right? There we go. And now we get out of our car and we're walking to the grocery store. And what are we thinking about when we're walking from that very short distance from our car to the front entrance of the grocery store? We're probably thinking about what the heck we're going to do when we get in there, right? Oh, I'm going to get eggs. That's over here. Then I'm going to go, like, we're planning like strategic masterminds of grocery shopping. So what if, for the very short amount of time that we're walking from our car to the front door of the grocery store, we say, okay, I am going to focus single-pointedly on how my feet feel as they connect with the pavement. That's it. That's it. And then whenever I start to catch my mind thinking about, oh, the eggs or whatever, yeah, I'll be like, not right now, mind. We'll get to the eggs when we get inside. But right now we're focusing on how our feet feel on the pavement. Boom. You are now taking something you already do, right? Every time you go to the grocery store, you got to walk into the door. It's something you're already doing. It's part of your busy schedule, right? And we've turned it into a meditative practice. Oh, Rebecca, thank you. That means a lot to me. I appreciate that. Thank you guys for being here. I couldn't do this without you. So I appreciate you taking time out of your day to be here. So this is an example of using movement, right? So it's walking meditation, right? Now, if you look up walking meditation videos, you'll probably see somebody walking around in a circle in a room, and it looks a little strange, right? And what are they doing? They're doing exactly what I just said, right? But they're doing it in like this weird empty room. But again, we're not adding things to your schedule. You're busy. So we're weaving in meditation to your busy schedule. We're not adding to it, right? So maybe this is a good one for you, right? Also, it doesn't have to be walking. So you're sitting at your desk at work, right? You're like, all right, I'm going to do a little movement-based meditation. I mean, even just constant, I'm going to lift up my arm and then lift it and then let it lower. Now, we do this a lot each day, right? We're lifting our arms all the time. Now, what if I was like, okay, I'm going to lift my arm up and then down, and I'm going to focus exclusively on how my body feels as I do that. And that's it. And if I start to think about something else, get to that later. I'm focusing on this arm movement, right? This is a meditation, a movement meditation on our arm, with our arm, using our arm. Cool. As you can see, these are two examples. We do a lot of movements in our life. Feel free to experiment. But in each of these, the sequence is identical. Choosing to focus on something single-pointedly. Noticing when you're not. Bringing your attention back. That's it. Okay? Cool. Maybe we're not into the whole moving meditation thing. Okay. There's a bunch of other stuff we could do. You know your senses? There's 5 of them. They'll come in handy here. So what about taste? That's one of those 5 senses. This is what we're going to do in our meditation, where we're going to be drinking water. This is another reminder. We're going to be doing a mindful drinking meditation. You'll need a little bit of water or beverage of your choosing at some point, right? So you can get that whenever you want. So, taste, mindful eating, breakfast. All right, hopefully we have breakfast each morning. What do you think about when you're eating breakfast? Not eating. They're thinking about something else. Work, or the news, or the pain in our back. I don't know. You know, it's just a million things going through our mind. But we're generally not really focused on eating. Maybe for like a bite, or like, oh, the strawberry's delicious. But then we move on, right? So what if for breakfast, we're like, you know what? I'm going to try to turn breakfast into my meditation time. And for just a couple of bites of this piece of fruit, I am going to exclusively focus on how it tastes. Is it juicy? Is it kind of sour? Right? I'm going to just really hone in on what this piece of fruit tastes like. If I notice myself drifting, thinking about work or whatever, not right now, mind. We'll get to that later. We're focusing on eating the piece of fruit. So this is the exact same thing as breathing meditation. It's the exact same thing as walking meditation. We've just changed one thing, and that's what we're focusing on. Right? We're focusing on eating the piece of fruit. When we notice our attention drifting, we're bringing it back as many times as we need to. Doesn't matter. Right? Doesn't matter. You know, sometimes we think, oh, I'm not good at meditating. I can't keep my focus on my breath or whatever. No, the goal of meditation is not to never get distracted, but it's to start to notice when you're distracted and being able to do something about it. Not right now. Bring your attention back. Cool. Okay. So mindful eating, we're going to do mindful drinking later. So I'm not going to really touch on that too much. What about smell? There's another sense. Smells, right? Maybe you light a candle. When we light a candle, right? We're like, man, candle smells great. And then we move on, and the candle's still there, but it's just kind of in the background. So maybe if you like candles, the next time you light one, for the next 2 minutes, I'm just going to close my eyes and focus on the aroma of the candle, right? Can I sense the warmth? What does it smell like? Right? What does it smell like to me? And then when our mind tries to pull us away, not right now. Candle time, right? Bring our attention back, right? Mary, breakfast time works for me. Great. Yeah. So experiment, right? Maybe you're like, yeah, breakfast time would be perfect. Awesome. Go for that. Right. Maybe you're like me and you're not a morning person. And so breakfast doesn't always happen. So maybe that wouldn't be a great time for me, because I'm always rushed in the morning because I'm late. I got to think about maybe something else, right? But if you think that would be great for you, then go for it, right? The mindful eating is really awesome, and we do it every day, right? We're doing it anyway. Might as well get mental benefits out of it in addition to the bodily nutrition, right? Okay, cool. So smelling. Again, there's a million things you could do here. When you're cooking food, right? A lot of downtime or waiting for stuff to cook. What do? Right, we're on our phone, doing all the stuff, doing lots of stuff. What if when we're waiting for our roast to cook, we're like, For the next minute, I'm going to close my eyes and just smell the roast. That's it. And then whenever my mind drifts, I'll just bring it back. I don't know how often we're eating roasts, but whatever. That's the example I came up with. Smell of the air. If you're outside, sitting in a park, there's a million different things you could do, right? Smell. You could experiment with that. Hearing, right? So this is an interesting one. Music. Because music is so interesting, because music is something that we almost always engage with while doing something else. We're driving while listening to music. We're working while listening to music. We're exercising while listening to music, right? Very rarely are we listening to music and that's it. Maybe you do, but I would venture to guess most of us don't, right? So the next time that we're going to listen to music while we work or exercise or drive or whatever, what if, before I start driving, before I start exercising, before I start working while listening to music, I'm just going to take a moment, close my eyes, and just listen to the music for a little while, right? Listen to the instrumentation, right? If there's vocals, is it a high-pitched voice, low, what's the timbre like? Just really dive in and absorb the music. And then when your mind does be like, hey, we got to do our workout. Like, hold on a second. I'll get there. Then we bring our attention back to listening to the music. Okay? This is a meditation on music. Now, oftentimes, at this point, people will be like, oh, music-based meditation. I've heard of that, right? You can use meditation as an aid for meditating. A lot of people do it. What I'll say is if you like doing that, you like meditating with music, I would also encourage you to experiment meditating without it, because we don't want to get to a point where we're like, I need music to relax. I need music to meditate, because you don't need music to meditate. It might be nice, you might prefer it, but you don't need any sort of special external circumstances to do this, right? So I like to put that out there because it's something very common that is asked. All right, music, sound of somebody's voice, a lot of sounds happening here, right? Maybe we're walking down the street and we, instead of focusing on our feet hitting the pavement, we want to focus on the sound of the leaves rustling in the breeze. I'm painting a lovely picture for you. What about sight? Watching a bird fly. Right? I use this example because it's something that happened to me, and sometimes things happen to you and you just like they just really stick with you. This was stuck with me. I live in Colorado. Hiking is a big thing here. I go hiking from I go hiking fairly often. Wish I could go more. But sometimes when I'm hiking, man, am I plugged into the hike. Every little rock formation, like that's so cool. But other times I'm on the hike and that's not what's happening. I'm thinking about my job, or I'm like, well, my knee hurts. Man, is my knee always going to hurt like this? Maybe there's something wrong. I should probably go get it checked out. Yeah, I don't really like going to the doctors. Your mind just kind of goes. So I remember one time I was on a hike and I saw a bird flying, and I don't know why, but I just was very taken with it, and I just kind of stopped on my hike and I was just staring at it. It was like the hike was done. All of the beauty in the mountains, it's like it was gone. The only thing I was looking at was this bird, right? And it was so cool. It was just like gliding and floating so elegantly. And I don't know how long I was staring at the thing. Probably, who I was with was like, hey, let's start moving. But I was meditating essentially on the bird using vision, right? And the cool thing to think about, the takeaway here is, you know what? I bet you every time I go on a hike, there's something cool like that maybe I'm just not engaging with. There's all sorts of awesome things happening, interesting things, beautiful things happening all day long. But if we're not here, present, right? If our mind is in the past or the future, thinking about work or something that happened earlier, we might not notice them, right? So this activity-based meditation is a great way of practicing being in the present moment, which is, we had a class on that like 2 weeks ago, right? You rock, but it takes away the eternal noise. The external noise. Yes, good point. So, sight. You could watch anything. Clouds going by. You could stare at your hand. You ever done that? You've looked at your hand many times in your life, but have you ever intentionally, single-pointedly looked at your hand? I don't know. Try it. You can meditate on looking at your hand. It doesn't matter, right? We're doing the same thing. And then the last one that I'll focus on, then we're going to do our drinking water meditation. So final reminder, if you do not have a glass of water or beverage of your choosing, I'm not checking what you're drinking. Got a little something? Good. We're going to need it for the meditation. All right. So good time to go get it or whatnot. So the last one I'll focus on, and this is one of my personal favorites. I'll say like tactile or like feeling, touch-based, sensories, whatnot. Brushing your teeth. Now here's an interesting thing that we do twice a day, and when we do it, we don't think about brushing our teeth. We think about literally anything else. We find brushing our teeth in itself to be quite mundane, right? So what if instead of letting our mind kind of wander, while we're brushing our teeth, we're like, okay, here's what I'm going to do. Whenever I brush my teeth, I am going to focus single-pointedly on how the bristles feel against my gums, or the sound of the brushing my teeth. And that's it. And then when my mind starts to be like, oh, let's think about all this other stuff, we're like, no, we're not doing that anymore. We're focusing on brushing our teeth, right? And at first your mind will be like, I've always used this time to do what I want. And now we'll be like, I'm talking to my mind. And then I'll be like, no, not anymore. And then your mind will be like, okay, after a while. It'll be like, okay, fine. So it's going to take some time to train yourself to do this. But look at what this could mean, right? We're practicing meditation twice a day. If we do the brushing our teeth thing, we're practicing meditation twice a day. We're not adding any more complexity or stress or things to our already busy schedule. Boom. That's great, right? It's a really clever way of getting meditation into your life. Right? Showering is another good one. Just going to focus on how the water feels hitting the old noggin for a little while or whatever. Getting dressed, how it's going to feel putting on socks. I don't know. So this is another suite of examples of things you can do. It does not matter which you try, but I would recommend you try one of them. Just pick one, right? And if it's not working for you, move on, pick something else. But you're going to pick one that you already do. So now if you do not like candles, right, that you haven't lit a candle in 10 years, I don't want you to go buy a candle, all right? Because that's not something that you normally do, right? So pick something that you already are doing and see if you can turn it into a very short meditative practice. I think you'll be surprised with the outcome of it. And one of the really cool outcomes, and hopefully you'll experience that with the meditation we're going to do in just a moment, we start to notice some subtle, interesting things about the activity when we're really plugged in, right? Like the bird, right? I'm hiking and I'm like, whoa, that's awesome, right? That's something that's always there that I just hadn't really thought about, right? So that's one of the other benefits of doing these types of meditations. Start to enjoy these activities. Start to enjoy brushing your teeth. I don't know. Maybe not. Brushing your teeth is quite mundane. Okay. We're going to do our V-Rock. Thank you for the sub. I appreciate that so much. Thank you. We are going to do look, people call it mindful drinking. It doesn't matter what you can call it, whatever you want. We're going to drink water and meditate on it. Okay. Or whatever beverage. So, last chance, if you do not have a little bit of beverage liquid that you can ingest safely, go procure one. All right? And the way this is going to work is we're going to start with component number 1. We're going to choose to focus on drinking this water. And I'm going to guide us through this, so don't worry. You're not going to be like, go meditate on water. Like, I don't know how. So I'm going to guide us through this activity. But we're going to essentially use drinking water as our focal point for meditation. And we're going to see if we can pick out any interesting things about drinking water that maybe we hadn't thought about before. Drink water all the time. But maybe there's some hidden gems in there, some hidden subtle joys. Cool? Okay. I was talking as much as I could to allow people to get the drink, and now it is time. So sit comfortably. Again, you do not need to be on the floor. You want to lay down. Well, you know what? I don't know if you should be laying down since we're doing the drinking meditation. If you are, you're going to be careful. Spill on yourself. Get comfortable. And when the time comes for when I ask you to pick up the drink, you can open your eyes. Don't spill it all over your expensive equipment. You don't be feeling around for it, right? You can just open your eyes and pick it up. All right. Okay. Close your eyes. We'll start by just very briefly focusing on our breath to relax, and then I'll guide us through this mindful drinking exercise. Okay. Very quickly, let's just focus on our breath for a little bit to settle in after our awesome discussion on meditation activities. So we're just breathing in and out, gently, naturally. That's all. Nothing to think about. Just following the air as it enters and exits our body. Smooth, gentle breath. In and out. As we once again begin to relax a little bit into our chair or cushion. breathing meditation is wonderful. It is a great way to relax. But it is not the only way to meditate. We talked about a lot of different ways to meditate today, and there's countless more. But for our final meditation for this evening, we are going to meditate on water. The entire act of drinking a sip of water. So I would like you to now pick up this glass of water or beverage. Just hold it in your hand. That's all. What does holding this glass of water feel like? Can you sense the temperature of the water simply by holding it? Is it cool, warm, room temperature? What does the material of the container feel like that's holding the water? Is it smooth, rough? What does holding water feel like? Now I'd like you to bring that glass of water up to your nose and smell it. What does this glass of water smell like? Can you sense the temperature of the water using nothing but your nose? Does the container that's holding the water have a smell? Can you detect what material it is? Metal, plastic, glass? What does this glass of water smell like? Now I would like you to take a sip of the water, but don't swallow it. Just allow the water to sit in your mouth. What does this water feel like as it sits in your mouth? Can you plug into the effortlessness in which water moves around your teeth and gums, never being obstructed, just rerouting? Can you sense the temperature of the water changing the longer it's in your mouth? If the water you had was cold, maybe it's getting a bit warmer. Or if it was warm, maybe it's room temperature now. How interesting. What an interesting subtlety about water. All right, you can go ahead and swallow that water. And now I'd like you to take another sip and swallow it. And as you swallow it, I want you to focus on what ingesting this water feels like. Can you follow it? on its journey from the cup into your mouth, down your esophagus, into your stomach, nourishing your body. Can we sense any temperature changes that occur throughout the water's journey? What does drinking a sip of water feel like to you? Drinking water is something that we do all the time, but usually we're not focusing on it. We're thinking about something else. But the simple act of drinking water has so many interesting qualities, subtle joys that are there waiting for you to engage with them. How cool would it be if every time you drank a sip of water, you felt these things? Interested, fascinated with the temperature changes, the movement of it. So just for the next couple of moments, feel free to take another sip of water and just enjoy drinking. That's it. Just enjoy drinking water. Okay, when you're ready, you can open your eyes and put down your glass, whatever. Cool. Congratulations, you have done a mindful drinking exercise. So what did we do? We went through the senses, right? We did touch, we picked it up, we did smell, we didn't do sight because our eyes were closed, but we did like tactile, what does it feel like? So we explored all these different aspects of water. This act that we do so absent-mindedly all the time, we did with intention, purpose. We meditated on water. And maybe you walked away with one of those things kind of being like, oh, interesting. For me, it's always like the temperature change. You know, I'm always like, man, that's cool. You know, I drink it and it's cold, but now it's getting warmer. Right? That happens all the time, but I hadn't really thought about that. Right? That's something that always sticks out to me. And ultimately, it kind of like illuminates the fact that we can find these like cool, fascinating things in very like mundane activities, right? We do it all the time, but there's so much there, right? Patrick, for me, just focusing on what you're saying is a form of meditation. Amazing. So like, you know, you can do that with anything, you know, you don't even need me, you know, or, you know, listen to anyone talk or listening to the sound of their voice or the words, right? Amazing, right? Amazing. Yeah. Get creative, you know, everyone gravitates to different stuff, but hopefully you have a newfound love for drinking water after that. Carol, thank you. I appreciate that. So that's the end of our class tonight. Hopefully you found it to be enjoyable. Julie, very interesting discovery. I'll try to be mindful with eating dinner. Awesome. All right. Now, Julie, don't do it the whole dinner, right? Just start with a couple bites, you know, and then you could like expand upon that. You know, we're sitting down for a long time eating. It's hard, right? So start small, right? But that's a good one. Okay. if you had a good time, I encourage you to come back every week. I do these same time, whatever. We talk about a different topic. I don't know what next week will be. If you have any ideas, feel free to email me. I'm going to give you my email. But we'll talk about something meditation related. We'll do some meditation and learn together. Thank you again, VRock, for subscribing. If anyone else has not subscribed to my YouTube channel, I encourage you to do so. All my old videos are up there. You'll get notifications when I'm going live with the meditation. So on Wednesdays, when you're like, your mind's all over the place, you're like, oh, cool, it's meditation time with Keith. I can't wait. And then you'll show up and everything will be great. So that's one of the great benefits of subscription. Costs nothing. You can unsubscribe it at any time if I begin to annoy you. And if you really had a good time and you're like, you know what, I'm into meditation, I think this is something that would be really great for me. I teach one-on-one classes. I do them over Zoom. It is very laid back. And it is a really good opportunity for you and I to focus on something that is pertinent to you. Maybe you're like, I want to use meditation to help with feelings of anxiety. Okay, we'll focus on that. So if that sounds like something that might be interesting to you, just email me and we'll find a time to get together. I'm going to put my email in the chat right now. I'll also say it. It is keith@meditationbreaks.com. I have said it, and now I must type it. I have typed it, and now I hit enter. That is my email. Email me anything, questions about meditation. You want to set up a one-on-one. You just want to chat. Whatever. Email me. Cool? And let me catch up. Janice, thank you for being here. Eileen, thank you. Nicole, walking meditation next week. Now, here's what I'll say, Nicole. I am in a very small room with a camera that is facing a wall that I can touch. I don't have a lot of room, so I don't know. I haven't really figured out how to, maybe I'll have to change my setup. I'm going to put that on my to-do list to maybe figure out a different way to change my setup. That way we can do a walking meditation together. That's a cool idea. I like that. I don't think I'll be able to do it next week, but I'm going to get on it. Thank you. All right. Gerard, thanks again for being here. Cindy, relaxing, refreshing. Love to hear it. Hope that you get a nice, good night's sleep out of this. Beverly, thank you. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Mary, thank you. I love teaching, and I couldn't do that without you guys. So thanks for taking time out of your day to learn something new. And I hope to see you all next week. All right? Good luck with your activity-based meditations. All right? Take care.